Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Man Bites Film. This week, we actually have our new co-host, special guest that will be joining us from here on out, pretty much. So I want to let him introduce himself.
Hello, everybody. My name is William Phoenix. I am very honored to being able to jump on here and being able to be a co-host on something that is both a passion of ours. Talking about movies.
Definitely.
And, we were just talking outside. We spent an hour just talking about all different kind of movies, and it's when it's a passion, why not make it a hobby and have fun with it? So. For some of you that may know me, I have started doing cosplay earlier this year, and I have started with Jacob Kowalski at the Celebration of Potter.
And it's fucking phenomenal. Freaking awesome. Spot on.
A lot of people have also gotten to know me as Dr. Hammond from Jurassic Park, the dinosaur that chased me all across MegaCon.
We'll link that down below for sure.
The dinosaur follows me everywhere, I swear. I'm going to go to New York Comic Con in a couple weeks, and it's going to be there. I know it's going to be there, but hasn't caught me yet. I may be old and fat, but I'm still faster than the dinosaur. But like I was saying, I'm really glad that, he gave me the offer of coming on as a co-host and being able to, talk about movies and getting, opinions and talking about it, because, a lot of people just sit there and be like, oh, yeah, okay, I have no idea what I'm talking about. But when you get somebody that's like, oh, yeah, and, go back and forth, it's like, yes, somebody knows what I'm talking about. So, as my first movie, I was given the choice that I could pick anything I wanted, as long as, it was streamlining as always out there on, Hulu, Netflix, and whatever else. And as luck would have it, Saw. Actually, the entire Saw series is actually streaming right now on Hulu. And Saw was one of those movie series that, call it a slasher movie if you want it, but I followed from the beginning, kind of like Halloween and Michael Myers, obviously Halloween, but Nightmare on Elm Street, the good ones. And at first, I thought it was going to be like a standalone movie, which was like really great the way that it was made. And then 6 months, like 6 more movies or 7 more movies. Now there's another one coming out.
Yeah, it's
in a month or so. And Halloween Horror Nights actually doing a house this year as well, which I don't know if you've seen it yet. I got the chance to go through it. It looks really good.
Not the Saw one yet.
Not the Saw one yet.
But I've been able to do Ash and Shining, and that was.
I like the Ash one because it was very campy, like Ash. Yeah, but we'll get back.
We'll go to that. We'll get into that one.
The Saw one, they touch on like the major traps and everything, which was I liked it. Is it like the best one out there? Probably not, but it was very, very well made. But Saw came out in 2004, directed by James Wan, who ended up going on to do cult classics, if you want to call them, or movies like Conjuring and Insidious, along with Lee Warnell, which plays one of the guys, the young photographer in the Chamber. Carrie Elwes, I can never pronounce his name right.
Horrible with names.
I go with the guy from Robin Hood Men in Tights, because that was one of these great ones as a kid I watched and I absolutely loved.
Me too.
He plays the doctor in it.
So much.
And then Tobin Bell is in it, which we all know from The Firm, one of his big casts that he had. And Danny Glover also has a small role by Danny Glover standards, but a good one at that.
I think he has his own cult following already, just himself.
He does. I mean, and he wasn't too old for that shit, apparently. Cause
well, look at Morgan Freeman. The guy's still out there, too.
Yeah, well, Morgan Freeman's the voice of God. I mean,
Quite literally.
The day Morgan Freeman passes away, we're going to be like, what do we do now?
It's going to be raining all day, that's for sure.
The Penguins will march no more. But what I liked about it is that it's a different take on it. It was very the budget wasn't like millions of dollars. It was relatively a small budget for the first one anyway. The majority of the film takes place. I don't know for those that don't know Saw, it's basically these two guys they wake up in this broken down bathroom, and there's a corpse in the middle. and they are trying to figure out a way out of here. And then they find a tape which tells them that they're caught in this game to where they have to either kill each other only one of them can basically survive. And the majority, although it's not a linear movie, it does have flashbacks, and there's also other stuff happening throughout.
Yeah, but the first one's pretty linear. I don't think it really.
Not really, because like it starts in the thing, but then there's the flashbacks of like the background on the doctor, the background on the photographer, and how kind of like they figure out how they got there. So a lot of flash, and then as the movie progresses, there's the wife and the kid that just going in at what time. And one thing that I loved about it, which then Saw took off with it, is that you think that the movie's happening in a certain time frame.
Yeah. Oh,
but then you realize that there's actually whatever's not happening in the main part of the movie could be a flashback, could be happening right next door, could be happening across town, could be hours before. So it keeps you guessing. And it was one of those. Did they need to make 7 movies, now 8 coming out? I don't think that they did. It became more of a let's see what else we can do.
Yeah.
But it always kept you.
I don't think it lost much, honestly, between
that. They didn't. It was just like to me,
you're gonna lose stuff in the sequels, but I think it held pretty strong. The story, the style, the everything held pretty strong considering.
It did, and especially like the last one, which then you realize that I'm not gonna give anything away, but as you're watching each one in sequence, and you have to watch them in sequence because when you watch the last one, you realize how every single one of these movies is actually tied in to each other. It's not just a standalone Saw 1, 2, 3. There's a little, not little, but there's a whole spectrum to it. It's like, I get it now. Yeah. Okay. And for, like I said, for the little budget that it has, especially in a world where Hollywood nowadays, if you don't spend millions of dollars and big names and big budget and big explosions and whatnot, it's kind of like it was very well made. It was
they're all macro budgets.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're less than targets. I think the most expensive one, which was the latest one that's coming out, is like I think 10 million,
something
maybe.
Like that. Yeah,
which is nothing. That's nothing in their eyes at all. I mean,
10 million is kind of like, oh wait, I got this in my pocket.
It's close to indie, as much as you could get.
Pretty much, yeah. And I'm looking forward to the new one because I want to see how, especially because Tobin Bell is actually on his IMDb page, he is listed to be in this, and anybody that has seen it knows that it's like, how is he going to be in this? Because according to the final chapter, it's going to make it hard. But it's one of those movies that, I mean, it's not one that I can watch over and over and over, but if somebody's like, you want to see it, I'll definitely want to sit there and watch it again. Also because from a filmmaker point of view, I like seeing the camera angles, because camera angles will tell you a lot.
Oh, yeah.
You can sit there and just have like the actor just sit in the middle and talking to the camera, but sometimes camera angles will make or break a movie.
Oh yeah.
And in this case, it's like, it's almost like there's a fourth person inside the room, which is the viewer, and you're seeing like what is happening back and forth. Which to me, it's like when a scary movie, especially a slasher movie, sucks you in.
Oh yeah.
To where like you almost
and
feel like exactly
it gets you.
Like you feel like you're in it.
Yeah.
To me, it's like, okay, take me, show me what show me this. And the ending was just like, when I
that slow motion at the end, it's just so perfect because it's not that cheesy slow motion. It's just right.
You're just sitting there and you're like, okay, now what? You're like,
yeah. Oh my god! And exactly that breath that you take, that's exactly how it feels. Like the filmmaker just, while he was editing it, it's like that little slow motion right while you're taking that breath. It's so good. So good.
And it's just, I'm glad that they greenlit a movie like this, because scary movies to me, the only thing in scary movies that really get me is like the little sing-song voice of children in the background, which it has a lot in, and I'm going, please stop. But slasher movies, you kind of like know what to expect nowadays, especially when it's like, okay, somebody's gonna die, but
It's usually the black person first.
Exactly. Which this actually was not the norm.
Yeah.
This actually broke that mold too,
Yeah.
because he's not
Yeah.
the first one. But stereotyping 101.
Yeah, right.
But also because it's like you know, I think it's the doctor that actually says it. It's like technically Saw is not actually. If somebody makes you do something that you potentially die doing, is that person really a murderer? Which is the great thing about Saw.
Going into that, that's
you know what I mean? It's like
that's the reason I love that movie.
It's like he doesn't really kill anyone. He puts them in situations to where they can get out, and it's very hard for them to get out. They have to go through a very traumatic thing to get out, but they may die trying. Now, does that make him a killer if he's actually not physically killing them? And as you progress through the movies, there's always that question of, oh, okay, so is he still a killer? Is he not a killer? What's going on? Which is very different when it comes to slasher movie. You know, like Michael Myers will sit there and chop you up. Freddy Krueger will kill you, and
he's a straight up killer.
Straight up killers.
Yeah.
But this whole take of, wait, no, is he a killer? I mean, technically he is, because he is putting you in that situation. But the whole mind game thing behind it, it's like,
I love that too. Yep.
And it leaves you with that one question: what would you do?
Yes.
If you woke up in this room and you had to like chop off your leg and kill the other person in the room.
The social commentary.
Exactly.
How would you handle that situation, and would you actually test yourself to the limits?
Exactly.
Would you get there and go and sink yourself to it? It basically tests your true humanity, which is awesome because you actually see who you are for real. And I think that is one of the scariest things in film.
Yes, when a scary movie can actually make you think, what would you do?
Yeah.
You know, because it's easy to sit back and watch, you know, the protagonist make it through and survive, and it's like, congratulations, the killer died. But when you stop and you're like, what would you do in that situation? Would you actually be able to physically kill somebody to save your own skin?
Yeah.
Would you go through with it? Because people talk a lot. People are big. You know, it's like, oh, I'm going to kill you. But when it comes down to it, when you're looking at somebody in the eyes and you're like...
And you feel the bone that you're going to
die.
actually stab into. You're feeling that bone. How are you going to react? How are you going to squinch? How are you going to, like... I go through that every time I watch one of those Saw movies. I'm like, I can't... Oh, God, I can't imagine sawing my leg off.
Just sitting there and going...
I can't even just... It hurts my teeth just thinking about that.
Knowing that if you do that, it's not even guaranteeing that you may live. Because you may just bleed out doing it.
Yeah.
You know? So it's one of those, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, I like it. It's, you know, I definitely, you know, if nobody's seen it and you're okay with a little bit of... The first one doesn't have a lot of gore in it. So if you're okay with, you know, mostly like blood and whatnot, and you're intrigued by it, definitely start watching the series. Don't expect, you know, to be like, oh my god, it's the best movies ever, but definitely sit back, watch, enjoy, talk about it amongst each other, and it's, to me, I consider it like a classic of some sorts, because it is
it's a modern classic. It really definitely is.
Yeah, like it's a genre of its own. It's a slasher movie, but it's not, and I thoroughly enjoy it. So I was glad that I was able to pick this movie first, because it's like,
Now, rating wise, what do you give it between 1 and 10?
Between 1 and 10?
Or do you want to come up with your own rating system?
Well, on the spot, I mean, if I come up with my own rating system, I want to like sit there and make something like, you know, different.
Well, food for thought for the next one. How about
exactly, that? Absolutely. Homework. Come as a co-host, they said. It'll be fun. Here's some homework. Between 1 and 10, I would probably give it like a 7. A good solid 7, because I mean, like, not the, you know, like I said, not the best scary movie ever, but anything that makes me think it's automatically like a good solid, kind of like Inception, where it's like, you know, is it real? Is it not? But and then
ask those questions
again. You know, the filmography. You know, obviously the cinematography is not, you know, landscaping or anything, but
it's one room. You can't really do much
exactly.
in one room. So
when you can make almost a 2-hour movie, most of it happen in one room, and still have the viewer. You know,
not be Tarantino,
like, and not be Tarantino with Reservoir Dogs, you know. But with the camera angles and feel like you're part of there. I thoroughly enjoy it. I would give it probably like a 7 out of 10.
Not thinking about it, Reservoir Dogs. Think about the plot of Reservoir Dogs. Pretty damn close. Beat by beat.
A little
It's
bit.
pretty damn close.
Yeah, because it still like it makes you guess in the end like who's
It's one room.
who's a traitor.
Locked up in
what's on
3
room.
people.
No, but Reservoir Dogs. Oh yeah, it is
Yeah.
mostly one room, but then it's like the flashbacks of like
Yeah.
the diners and whatnot.
Same
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah. That's pretty crazy.
So I'm wondering if maybe he. I'm gonna have to like look up into
Inspiration.
that and see if he
Yeah.
had any inspiration from Tarantino.
Who doesn't
I
nowadays,
mean,
though?
yeah, Tarantino is.
Come on.
Tarantino and.
But I definitely agree with you on the rating. 7 out of 10. Definitely agree. It's definitely something to watch on. If you have a streaming network, you gotta watch this.
Hulu.
Please.
And if you like the first one, like I said, they have all the ones up until the final chapter. I want to say it's 7 because there's Saw 6 and then I don't know if it's Saw 6 final chapter or Saw 6 and then final chapter, but regardless,
There's final chapter, yeah. So it's 7.
so it's 7. It has all of them on Hulu. Spend a weekend. When I take a break from Harry Potter weekend, like they do every weekend, watch Saw. It's Halloween season.
Yes.
Enjoy it. Let me know in the comments what you think, what I may have missed, and
Any corrections, retractions that we might need to make.
exactly. I mean, like but watching it, there are certain things where you're like continuation mistakes or here and there, but let me know.
Yeah.
And hopefully you'll be as entertained as I was.
So with the theme that we're doing, I was like, as soon as he selected and told me that you're doing Saw, I was like, all right, awesome. Let's do Halloween Horror Nights Orlando themed reviews. So my inspiration, one of my favorite movies, and everybody knows this that's watched this show, The Shining. I mean, it's Stanley Kubrick. The man is brilliant. Everybody knows that I'm obsessed with him.
Biased.
So The Shining, I definitely chose it. I was like, perfect, let's do this. Also, the what do you call it? The huge world that is Saw. The Stephen King movies. They all have the same thing. Stephen King, every single movie of his intertwines with every other movie.
Mm-hmm.
It intertwines with Christine, Tommy Knockers, The Shining, even the what do you call it? The chef from The Shining is actually one of the main characters of the black dude's father. He's best friends with the black dude's father.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's very interesting how that whole world intertwines, and I was like, this is a perfect concept as well, because The Shining basically is a slasher film. I mean, that it's basically supernatural slasher film, which Stephen King, you can't really pinpoint any of his movies because they're all kind of all over the place and kind of a little bit of everything, which is cool. It has that supernatural element, and it basically revolves around this hotel that is possessed. It's not haunted, it's possessed, because everything that comes into it, if it fits that mold, it gets taken over, and the events that occurred in the past repeat themselves over and over again, just like a poltergeist does. And the events repeat themselves because the ghosts want to relive the situation that they just occurred.
It's like Groundhog
Yeah.
Day from Hell.
And that's what this film is about. And of course, starring the crazy looking Jack Nicholson and the ridiculously ugly Shelley Duvall in this film.
They're both crazy looking.
Shelley Duvall
was just holding there like,
Yeah, I mean, it is so interesting watching them two on the screen with the master behind the camera of Stanley Kubrick and his eccentricity, which is the only word for him. One of the scenes that I just stand out to me in particular, it holds the Guinness Book of World Records for the most amount of takes. It's that scene of what do you call it, Shelley Duvall with the axe, going the back going like this. They did it 102 times.
Yep.
And what do you call it? Stanley Kubrick is such an eccentric that he actually made Shelley Duvall lose her mind during the filming of this film, and she actually ended up in a psych ward for almost 3 months after the shooting of this, because she was that deranged from how this man actually took her soul and twisted it into the character that she was supposed to be in the film. Because Stanley Kubrick has nothing but contempt for the actors that don't take on their role seriously. and that's why Jack Nicholson looks so crazy and so over the top in the film, because he was like, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that. Nope, I'm not dealing with that guy screaming at me all the time.
Not today, little Satan.
And then the characters in it, every single one that you run into are memorable, but every time you watch the film, you find a new character, which is very interesting. Especially that scene where Shelley Duvall is running around in the hotel and the full witchiness comes out, and you see the little rooms and all that stuff. You see the random little things in there, and it is all inspiring.
Like I said, one of the things that scared me the most in scary movies are little kids. And this was one of the first movies that I watched, you know, when I started going into the whole horror genre, and the twins.
Yes.
You know, come play with us. I'm going, no. I don't wanna. I need an adult.
And I watched this too when I was probably, I think, 8 or 9 years old. So this was the first horror movie that I was literally terrified to watch. Every time I put on the movie and I listen to the opening sequence, that music kicks in, I get goosebumps all over my arms every time that music kicks on. And that's great filmmaking, when you're literally remembering things and just you get goosebumps just from an opening sequence.
When a soundtrack, when
and
you hear the music and you're just like...
Again, it goes back to my obsession with Kubrick. The man had final say on every aspect. If he didn't like something, he changed it. And if the person that he hired to do it, he didn't like it, he fired him and did it himself. The editing for The Shining, half of it was done by the editor that's credited. The rest was done by him.
Yep.
It's incredible. The man was a genius for it.
But I mean, look at the movies not just The Shining, but look at the movies that he's put out. I mean, it's one thing if, you know, it's one of those, like, you know, you can be a zero, you can be a hero, and with the end results that not just with The Shining, but Kubrick has done overall.
Yeah.
I mean, the man had a leg to stand on, if not both of them, where it's like, no, you're gonna do it my way because this is my baby, and everyone, and I can understand it. You know, some people are like, well, maybe it's a little too much to fire him, some things because they know. But I can understand it when, you know, you're that good and you've put out and you have the credibility of Kubrick. So
definitely.
Yeah, I mean...
And, I mean, every single one of his films, there's not a single one that's pinpointed into one genre and then he does the same genre again. Every single one is a top 20, top 30 of its genre, which is amazing. And I don't think I could say the same about any single director. I don't think a single director could say that he's gotten one film in each of the main genres and they're in the top 20, 30 of each one.
Comment below if you know it, because right now I can't think of anything right now.
I mean, period pieces. Barry Lyndon.
Yep.
I mean, the film is boring as hell, but it is a masterpiece of cinematography. The Shining, horror. What do you call it? Eyes Wide Shut, psychological thriller. 2001 Space Odyssey. That is the cornerstone of sci-fi.
Well, yeah, sci-fi.
I mean, all sci-fi special effects are attributed to 2001. All modern sci-fi effects.
Yeah.
I mean, the man literally invented the suits for NASA. I mean, that tells you everything.
We're wearing props.
Yeah. The list goes on and on. So The Shining for me, it's a 10 out of 10 sold. 100%.
No, I concur. I concur when it comes to that. There's no taking anything away from it, like as far as point wise, because it's like you said, from soundtrack, cinematography, camera angles, the cast, and the whole stories that even to this day, like, there's something new coming out every so often. It's like, hey, why are we filming this? This was happening. It's like, oh my god, like still there's like more stuff coming out. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
You know, and Nicholson himself, just Nicholson, like one of the best Nicholson movies that I've seen, where it's just like.
It's an iconic role. Everybody knows him as the Shining character.
You kind of got a glimpse of him also in The Cuckoo's Nest.
Yes.
You can almost see Jack in The Cuckoo's Nest because it's got like that craziness to it, and it's almost like a tugs at the heart because it's like, wait, no, this is not The Shining. Like, yes, Nicholson.
Yes.
So, absolutely great movie. Yes.
So, again, the Saw series is all streaming on Hulu.
Yep.
And The Shining is streaming on Netflix currently, so that's even easier access for everybody else. So both of these movies are both Halloween Horror Nights houses. So if you get a chance, please check them out. The Shining was amazing and right on to the film. I haven't been to the Saw one, but you did, so.
The Saw one was good. Like I said, it's they use a lot of like from the first movie, like the first few movies. There's the bear trap from the girl. There's the bathroom scene.
Yeah.
I forgot what else. I have to go through it again to just because like we're walking through and I had a girl screaming behind me, 3 of them in front of me, and I'm going, can we be quiet? Because I'm trying to watch stuff here, please. And forgetting that it's like they're there to get scared. I'm there to watch the sets and going, oh my god.
Yeah.
But if you definitely go, go to at the beginning of the night. Hit The Shining first because the line does get pretty long on that. Yeah. Like I think the most I've seen was like 65 minutes, but that was like on a slow night. And then Saw goes up to like 35, 40 minutes. Yeah. Much smaller house. The Shining, literally, if you've seen the movie, it basically
opening, that opening is so
hits
good.
Every major point and scene of the movie.
Yeah.
It is a timing, what's called a timed house. So that, as you turn the corner, the stuff that's happening, that only happens every so often, so you gotta hope that you get it there. So you may have to do it more than once. Yeah. But I mean, I'm not complaining. You want to go again? Yes. So, but yes, go check them out. The Halloween Horror Nights overall this year, I have to say, is extremely excellent.
Yes.
No pun intended. Bill and Ted's last year, and it's actually very, very good this year as well. So, yeah, I got a heart. Moment of silence. But yeah, check him out. Check the movies out, and
yeah. So my name is Lewis.
My name's Will,
and we'll see you guys next week on another episode of Man Bites Film.